Hey everybody, today we're gonna be reacting to Geography Now Nepal.
I have not heard much about Nepal. How about you?
Well, I know it's next to India, I think.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get to learn more about it based on this video because, it's geography now. A lot of information in a short amount of time, but, all goes to the brain.
Let's do it.
I got a lot of Nepalese people saying,
You made a mistake. Buddha was not born in India. He was born in Lumbini, which is in Nepal.
to which many of the Indian subscribers were like,
Yeah, but Buddhist texts say he grew up in Kapilavatthu for the first 29 years of his life, which is probably in Piprahawa, which is like a half a mile away from the Nepali border.
Lies. Kapila
Half a
was
mile?
most
That's
likely in modern-day
crazy.
Tulare.
Yeah.
Okay, well, even if that was true, it was during the Mahajanapada era. Modern-day Nepal wasn't even established. So does it really count for Nepal?
Yes, it does.
yeah, this is kind of a big deal for them.
It's time to learn geography now!
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs.
I
Alright, so
love
what
the
do you know
animals
about
they always
Nepal?
include.
Mount Everest,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, keep going.
Sherpas.
Sure. Anything else?
Sherpas on Mount Everest.
That's my cue to begin the lesson. Let's look at some maps now, shall we? Nepal is often called the roof of the world. About 75% of the entire country is
really?
in the highest mountain chain on Earth. This means they have a very interesting civil layout. First of all, the country is landlocked, located in South Asia, sandwiched right in between India and China, locked away predominantly within the Himalayan mountain range. The country is divided into 7 provinces, only 3 of which have actual
Oh.
names,
Oh,
whereas
what?
the remaining 4
I wonder
are
why
just
the
called
4
province
don't.
with the corresponding number. Some of these provinces
That's
have
very
proposed
odd.
names, but as
Yeah.
of 2019, they are not yet official.
What?
Number 4 is skipped because they gave Gandaki a name back in 2018 when it used to be Province
Oh.
4.
Wait, so if 4 is
Interesting.
gone now, why don't they just switch 5 to 4?
Paperwork is
Yeah.
hard. Plus, it might get a new name soon anyway, so why bother? Keep in mind, the province
Okay.
subdivision is
You'd think
relatively
they'd
new.
come up with
Up
a
until
name earlier.
2015, they actually had 14 zones, which even though they were displaced, they are still used today for license plates. The capital, Kathmandu,
Oh,
is located in
really?
Province 3,
Interesting.
although it is not the capital of the province. Hetwada is. The country's largest, busiest, and only international airport is Kathmandu's Tribhuvan International. However, to relieve capacity constraints due to high tourism, work is being done to extend and make 3 more international hubs: Nijgad, Pokhara,
Oh.
and Gautam Buddha Airport. Oh, and keep in mind they have the most dangerous airport in the world at Tenzing Hillary or Lukla Airport, in which the runway
Oh,
runs off a
why?
cliff. So basically, if you don't build up enough momentum and become airborne, you free fall to your death.
Oh.
It's true. Now here's the thing. Nepal has
Oh
always
my
been like the
gosh.
buffer between the 2 giants, India and China. This in return has been both a blessing and a curse.
Oh my
Blessing in that
gosh.
nobody could really touch them, and therefore they remained one of the few countries that were never colonized. Influenced, yes.
Oh.
Invaded, yes. But colonized, no. This in return has made Nepal's land transport network very unique. Multiple roads enter into Nepal from India and China, but if you want to get to the economic hub, Kathmandu, you have to go into the heart of the mountains, and your options are limited only to a few main highways, like the HO2 from Raksal, India, and the HO3, which goes into Jangmujen, Tibet, China. If you look
Interesting
closely in the
names.
west, though, you'll find
Yeah,
Nepal's
it's
most
very
disputed
hard.
area, the
Sounds like
Kalapani
H2O.
territory. Basically, it was a byproduct of the 1962 border war with India and China. Things got messy, and to this day, Nepal claims that the river to the west should be their border, but India claims that the ridgeline to the east should be theirs. Well, for what it's worth, though,
very
there are tons of
confusing.
cool places to check out in case if you decide to visit, such as the Annapurna National History Museum, Narayanati Palace. The city of Pokhara is kind of like the tourism
that's
capital. The
really
island jungle
pretty.
resort of
It is
Chitwan,
so
the Tiger
different.
Tops and Elephant Polo Field, the Toothache
Oh,
Tree,
cute.
the Aircrafts
Aw.
Museum. So many religious sites like these temples, the Rongbuk
wow.
Monastery, and probably the most notable sites being
Cool.
Lumbini,
Imagine having a
the birthplace
house
of Buddha, and
in
Buddhanath
mountains.
Stupa. Whew, yeah,
Yeah.
lots of things were built and happened here in the mountains. Mountains make a great
Excuse
fortification
me.
against outside forces, especially when they are really tall. Let's talk more about the mountains, shall we? Now, how can I put this simply? Nepal's physical land makeup is kind of like the share price of Apple's stock in the beginning of the 2000s. You know, it's like... First of all, Nepal is located right at the start of the Himalayan mountains, the tallest range on Earth, which was basically formed by the Indian tectonic plates
That's one thing that I love about Nepal is like the mountains. They're so pretty.
I know. It would be fun to like climb it.
I know. I mean, I could probably get like a 20th of the way and I'd be like, I'd I'd be like, oh, I'm getting altitude sickness.
We are not in shape.
No, especially not to climb those mountains. Not at all.
Smashing into the Eurasian plate. The collision is still occurring to this day, which means that the Himalayas grow about 2.4 inches or
I did
6.1
not know
centimeters
that.
every year. This means that every new person to reach the summit temporarily becomes a world record holder. Obviously, you all know the highest point can be found here too, Mount Everest, or Sagarmatha, the tallest mountain in the world, shared with China at nearly 9,000 meters high. Keep in mind, 8 of the 10 tallest mountains in the world are actually found in Nepal as well. Also keep in mind, due to the tectonic plate convergence, the country is subject to occasional...
That honestly is not surprising though, because like they're the Himalayan mountains. They're so tall.
It is.
Like Mount Everest is there. Of course, there's going to be other tall mountains.
Earthquakes, one of the most
It's
well-documented ones being a
Yeah, it is.
7.8 magnitude quake with aftershocks hitting the capital, destroying ancient sites back in 2015. In addition, it triggered an avalanche on Mount Everest, killing 21 people, making it the deadliest day on Mount Everest history. The Himalayas are just one of 3 regions of the country though. Below the Himalayan region lies the Pahad, a lower mountain region in the green zone that generally does not get snow and fosters fertile valleys and rivers. Below this is the final region, the Tarai, the lowest point in Nepal, located in the Greater Gangetic Plain that extends into northern India and Bangladesh. The lowest actual point being Kachana of the Japa district. After China, this makes Nepal one of the countries with the widest range of elevations on Earth. This is also where most of the agriculture and produce are grown, as it is the most fertile region, fed by countless rivers and their tributaries that are sourced by the snowmelt from the Himalayas. The longest of these rivers, the Gagara, can be found in the west, as well as the largest lake, Rara. Nonetheless, the Bagmati River is very important as it passes through Kathmandu, and the Gandak River contains the largest hydroelectric dam, and the Koshi River provides irrigation to much of the valleys in the east. Phew! Mountains, rivers, lakes,
That's
valleys,
a
earthquakes,
lot of
agriculture.
information.
Seems like
I know,
nature's
my
been playing around
gosh.
with Nepal since day one. Alright, so that being said, it's time for my triple shot of espresso break. It's time for me to stop talking, but you know who knows a few things?
Did somebody say Noah?
He's back!
Now, Nepal may have a lot of natural beauty, but the problem is they still have quite a way to go in terms of stabilizing their living index. Today, they are still a heavily agrarian society with about 65% of the workforce employed in
That's a
agriculture,
lot.
and only about 20% of the land has been cultivated. About 30% of the GDP is dependent on remittances sent from abroad. More than half of the development budget comes from foreign aid. Their largest exports are actually textiles, carpets, and clothing. Nonetheless, since the 90s, they've been really trying hard to exploit the tourism sector, mostly through guided excursions up the many mountains, with Everest being the most expensive one. It's like this.
I bet.
Yeah, I
Above
bet.
Everest, but which agency will you choose?
Hi, I'm the Western agency that speaks your language and caters to all your Western needs. You'll even wake up to eggs and toast with coffee in the morning. My minimum rate goes around $45,000 and up.
That's a
Oh
lot.
Hi,
my
I'm the
gosh.
local Nepali agency. I have a slight accent when I talk, and the experience might be a little rough around the edges, but you'll still get to the peak of Everest. I charge only $25,000.
So which one will you choose, Ken?
Can I just hire a helicopter for a couple $100s?
So far, only one person has ever done that, and it's incredibly dangerous. Besides that, though, about 40% of the country is forested. They have 9 national parks and 3 wildlife reserves. Nonetheless, the national animal is the cow. No surprise, the country is predominantly Hindu, which reveres
cute.
cows
I
as sacred
love
animals.
cows.
Many people are either vegetarian or only eat chicken and fish. Speaking of which,
really?
food! Now, there are many different people groups that
Yum.
have their own cuisines in Nepal, and they come in all different colors and tastes. Some of the top dishes you guys, the Geography Peeps, suggested include things like dindo, gundruk, dal bhat takari, takali kanaset, choila, kachila, chatamari, Nepali style pani puri, alu chana, laping, and the one dish almost all of you mentioned, momo dumplings.
Oh,
Now
love
these dishes I just
dumplings.
mentioned
Those
came
are
from the
so
cuisines
good.
of the many different people groups you can find here. Nepal is just not Nepal without its people, which brings us to...
Thank you, Noah. Follow him on Instagram.
No problem. So you tried to film without Noah last episode, huh?
Sorry, Noah. I must apologize. Now, one thing many people don't seem to know too well is that Nepal is actually a very diverse nation with over 120 ethno-linguistic people groups. First of all, the
wow.
country has
That's a
about 30
lot.
million
Yeah.
people and about 2 million absentee citizens working abroad, mostly male laborers in the Middle East. Of these ethnic groups, the largest one at about 17% are the Chetri, followed by about 12% Brahmin Hill peoples, the Magar at 7%, Taru at an additional 7%, and the rest are made up of the various 121
Oh my
other
gosh,
people
that's
groups. They use the
crazy.
Nepali
It
rupee
is.
as their currency, which is pegged to the Indian Indian rupee. They use a type C, D, and M pluck outlets, and they drive on the left side of the road. Now, linguistically, how does a country unify 125 different ethno-linguistic people groups? Well, for one, the official language of Nepal is Nepali, a cousin of Hindi, natively spoken by about 45% of the population. To simplify things though, English is sort of used as like a lingua franca in government offices, businesses, and also within the technical, medical, and engineering scientific community. Now here's the thing, as mentioned before, the majority of Nepal at about 81% of the country identifies as Hindu. Nonetheless, even though it's a minority religion at about 10%, Nepal takes Buddhism very seriously. It kind of started here. Now, of course, since there are so many different people groups, there isn't really one universal Nepalese culture. In general though, most of them can be divided into 7 family groups that cluster into certain regions. You have the mountainous Bhotia, Sherpa, and Takali peoples, way up in the northern Himalayan zones. Yes, this is where the word Sherpa comes from. Then you have the Gurung peoples, whom are kind of like the famous bodyguards of Nepal. Many Gurung are Gurkhas, an elite military trained contingent force that fights for hire. Today, a couple thousand actually work for the British military. Then there's the Kiranti, Rai, and Limbu peoples of the east. These people are actually culturally close to Sikkim and the Bhutanese people. They speak a similar Tibeto-Burman language. At about 3/5 of the population, the Pahari peoples are actually the largest and most widespread people group inhabiting many of the lowlands. They are known for being heavily agrarian and having wonderfully colorful wool and woven fabrics. The Tamang are made up of about 40 clans scattered in the center and east highlands. They are also Tibeto-Burman and way more Buddhist in culture. They have beautiful gompas or monasteries in every main village. Then there's other people groups like the Taro people in the south, known for having one of the most famous cuisines in all of Nepal. They're known for generally being immune to malaria due to the genetic structure of most Taro people having thalassemic blood.
Wait, thala-what?
Thalassemic. It's like a
It would be
condition
fun
that
to
can be
go there
inherited
and see all the
helps
different
prevent against
cultures.
certain diseases like malaria.
So is this going to be
Learn
like a
about
new
it
segment,
more.
like in the Namibia episode, where I ask what the definition is and you explain what it is?
Possibly, yes. And finally, even though they make up only about 5% of the population, the one group that is kind of regarded as like the originals of Nepali national identity might be considered the Newar peoples. Found in pockets all over, mostly in cities, they are known for being the most politically, economically, and socially advanced community in Nepal. In a nutshell with culture though, in the shortest way I can put it, you kind of see like this interesting Indian-Tibetan influence fusion with Nepal. And here's Random Hannah to explain.
Amongst all these groups, certain traditions are shared universally, and most are either rooted in Hinduism or Buddhism or both. The Himalayas are in themselves considered the abode of Lord Shiva, and the Hindu god plays a huge role here. Many Nepalese follow a deep-rooted tantric tradition of Hinduism or Buddhism, which allows 5 animals for ritual sacrifice. Every town has a jatra, or celebration of main god or goddess, usually followed with a procession of the statue around the town. The 15-day-long festival of Dashin is celebrated by everyone in the country. It's a huge deal. Many of you have also mentioned the Kumari, little girls that are worshipped as living goddesses until they hit puberty in the Kumari
really?
And like many other South Asian countries, marriages are usually arranged and celebrated with lavish, colorful weddings.
And speaking of which, that brings us to history. Thank you, Hannah.
Did you just said arranged marriage is fun?
No, like the colors. The colors they were wearing is fun.
I really don't think that arranged marriage is fun.
I think it could be fun, but it also could be very interesting. It could go very bad or it could go very good.
What if you don't like that person? What if it's so old?
Oh, then I change them.
No, you cannot.
I changed their personality so they can just fit my description I want.
But it's so older than you, like
50
years older than you.
That would suck. No, I think it's so fun though, like the outfits they were wearing.
Yes.
It's so cute.
It is.
And I'll take it from here.
But no, that'd be
In the quickest
scary.
way I can put it, Kathmandu Valley Neolithic Age. Early records of Nepal mentioned in the Vedic Hindu texts. Kirati King period. Clans and small kingdoms period. This prince guy becomes a big shot. Vassal states under these empires. Mala Kingdom state period. This dude pieced it all together in what would become modern day Nepal. Anglo-Nepali War. Treaty of Sugali. Khat massacre. Slavery abolished in 1924. Years of drama between the royals and the democratic experiments. Massacre in the royal palace. New inherited king steps down, ending Nepal's title as the last Hindu kingdom in the world.
so
Unified
many
Communist Party
different
wins most
things.
seats in the assembly elections. Earthquake. First female president voted in. And here we are today. Now keep in mind, although the ruling party is called the Communist Party, and they do hold Marxist, Leninist tenets in their policy outlook, the country is not classified as a communist country, at least in the traditional unilateral sense, but rather a parliamentary republic in which the parliament has power over the head of state, even though the parliament is predominantly part of the Communist Party. But yeah, still, it is the only only country with a communist majority that is not categorically communist. Weird.
That
Anyway,
makes
here's some
total
famous people
sense.
from Nepal. Historical figures like Amshu Verma, Princess Prikuti.
He says everything so fast. So I'm like, what did he just say?
I know, he just talks so fast.
I know. It's a lot of information to take in.
Yeah.
Sankadar Sakwa, Araniko, Bahadur Shah, contemporary figures like Bhimsen Thapa, Lakshmi Prasad Devkota, Jamaki Miri, Amrita Acharya,
yeah.
Tenzing Norgay, Gopal
lot of
Prasad, Anil Gurung, Gaurika Singh, Dachiri Sherpa, Sandeep Lamichane, Prabal Gurung, Chandra Bahadur Dangi, David Lama, and of course, Siddhartha Gautama, otherwise known as the Buddha. Alright, well that just about does it for the people. Now let's see what other people like to hang out with Nepal, or at least climb up the mountains. Shall we? Now, Nepal has always kind of had like this very unique position in diplomatic policy. I mean, they're locked away in a very remote and rugged area on the planet, yet hold the key to so many international links. For one, even though about 10% of their country is Buddhist, other Buddhist countries like Thailand, Myanmar, and Cambodia love Nepal. Often people from these countries will take pilgrimage trips to see holy sites, especially in Lumbini.
Oh, really?
Bhutan is kind of like the only Buddhist country that they kind of have a little beef with. There was controversy over the expulsion of Nepali Lhotshampa residents back in the 90s as a means to preserve their Bhutanese culture, but today things are somewhat cooled off a bit, but there's a little bit of eye rolling. Now for best friends, yeah, most Nepalese people will probably say India or China, but it's weird because they can never have the same two best friends in the same room. China is really trying hard to win over Nepal, and things only got better after the recent Communist Party took over and ended the kingdom rule. Traditionally, Nepal has always had close ties and trade with Tibet. Chinese people love Nepalese art and architecture. Tourists flock over in droves, and China has been heavily investing in Nepal's transport sector with more roadways and even a train line connecting Lhasa to Kathmandu, making it one of the biggest potential engineering project endeavors the country has ever seen. For India, most people will say, we love Indians, but we hate their government. Most foreign activity and trade comes through India, and most people can understand Hindi.
I think
they
it's
love
everybody
Bollywood
though.
films, and the shared link through Hinduism has always kept these two very close. Nonetheless, India knows that Nepal depends greatly on them, and sometimes when things get a little messy, they initiate economic blockades, which anger them. Usually when this happens, Nepal cozies up with China a little bit more, in which India notices, and they're like, babe, I'm sorry, come back to me, I was just kidding. Nonetheless, when those two giants are bickering, Nepal kind of likes to run away off to the side and have a secret Romeo and Juliet kind of thing going on with Bangladesh. Many times when they want to go to the ocean, instead of using India's Kolkata port, they'll opt for Chittagong. Many Nepalese students study here, and the two have signed a 4-point agreement on technical cooperation, trade, transit, and civil aviation.
Oh, that's good.
Nepal even agreed to provide Bangladesh with substantial energy from hydropower. It's a unique, quite interesting alliance that has only blossomed over the years. In conclusion, with Nepal, you get a mountainous, Hindu, Buddhist, unexpectedly kind of communist nation with the highest point on earth, but they sure know how to be down to earth. And speaking of down to earth, as in low elevation, stay tuned. The Netherlands is coming up next.
Oh, Netherlands.
Oh my gosh, that's so much information at once.
It was. Honestly, it makes me want to go to Nepal more though, after learning all about it. And also, it's just so pretty in Nepal, and I love the mountains there.
Yeah, I want to climb the Mount Everest. Maybe.
I don't know about that. You can go yourself. But yeah, if you guys liked our video, then please like and subscribe and comment down below what else we should watch. We love you guys' suggestions, so please suggest things. And other than that, we'll see you next time. Bye.